Welcome to the Alamodome here in San Antonio, Texas. Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Doster, John Henson, Matt McCall, Jarrell McNeil. John, earlier today we did our pregame show. We were live over at Alibi's.
Headline.
And we played the headline game. And the headline that you came up with was Cougs win. I don't think you could have predicted the way that they were going to win.
Yes.
70-67. Houston knocks off Duke. They were down by 14 with 8 minutes and 17 seconds left. They were down by 9 with 2 minutes left. They were down by 7 with a minute and a half left. They were down by 6 with 33 seconds left, and they still found a way to win. What just happened?
We're used to Houston throwing the first punch, but they got punched and punched again and punched again. But me and Jarrell sitting up there, they kept just hitting timely shots, keeping it close, and I feel like it was just so cliche this year. Duke's never been in a close game. Duke's never had, they've been beating opponents by 15, 20 points. That reared its ugly head if I've ever seen it today. They looked discombobulated. They didn't know who to give the ball, who's our guy, what plays to run. They couldn't tweak their pressure moments because this was the pressure moment. When you trick a game off, you go back to the drawing board, hey, this is what happened. Let's not let it happen again. Houston's been in some overtime games. That was a story right there.
Matt, you watch it again.
I did watch it again.
Shell shot.
And look, this was the concern coming into this tournament. They've been in 3 close games all year. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen when they get in a tight basketball game in the NCAA tournament? What's going to happen? And when you think about the plays, when you think about the turnover versus the press, that led to the dunk, when you think about the missed free throws, like things like that. I mean, when the technical foul occurred down here on the baseline and Duke got a free throw and they go to the line and make it and it's a 6-point game, you're like, this game's over. Mm-hmm. This game's over. Then they have an offensive possession. Knippel goes down a lane, gets his shot blocked, and that's really what started the run. It was the offensive possession where Knippel goes down the lane, gets his shot blocked. Houston comes down, drills a 3. Then you got a turnover. I mean, it was a snowball of effects. But this was the concern coming into the tournament. When they get in a close game, are they going to execute down the stretch? Because they haven't. I don't care. You can have special situations galore in practice. You can run 1,000 special situations. But when you get in a moment, when you're in the environment, when you're in this place, and it was a pro-Houston crowd, when you're in that, you got to be able to execute.
100%, man. And this type of pressure is different. Me and John were just sitting up there, and every time Houston down 10, bang, something just to keep close enough. And then I thought it was crazy to hear Coach Sampson say in the press conference tonight, because it was kind of making me a little bit uneasy, because I'm like, the pace of this game, it just seems like there isn't a lot of sense of urgencies, but it was purposefully done with Houston. And I thought it was almost like it's a masterclass in coaching tonight. He knew man for man they were out-talented by Duke. And he felt that the best way for him to win the game was to keep the game in what he said, the low 70s or high 60 ranges. And if they could win the rebound game by 10, they felt that they could win the game. And I saw it because I kept telling John, like, man, when are they going to speed it up? When are they going to speed it up? Because they kind of got to get going. They're down. Great decision, risky, but great decision not to foul after the technical. Down 6, just play it out, get a stop. I was yelling. I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna foul? Like, and I'm like, they played it out. They got to stop. They got the block on Knippel, come down, bang, hit a 3, 1 possession game, and that changes everything. A lot of this as well has to go on Duke. The late game execution.
I didn't love the Knippel play call. I didn't like the Fly's got to have the ball in that game.
The press breaker was dumbfounded to me as well too. Me and John talked about this, just how different it is at the NBA level. Like, you got Cooper Flagg on your team, get those other guys the hell out of the backcourt and let him go catch the ball.
That's right.
Like,
that's exactly right.
You post up. You have a 6'10" ball handler. Get out the way. You tell Flag, treat it. They could run the baseline, and you just post up. You post up.
That's such a good point. Get everybody out of the way.
Just post
and throw the ball to him.
And they brought so much traffic to him that it made a simple play a lot harder. And essentially that the count was on, so he had to throw it in there.
I think something big too. LJ Cryer, he won that point guard matchup today.
Yes.
He won the matchup.
Yes,
like
he
I know,
did.
like you and you, Jarrell, you just said, Houston knew that Duke had more talent. I don't think they had more talent at that spot. I mean, he won the matchup. He won the matchup.
He outplayed Proctor. And
100%.
And another thing I saw as well, and tell me if you guys noticed it, because they were matchup hunting. Their offense was really stagnant down the stretch, and
Duke was?
Houston, and they were waiting. My eyes might have been mistaking me, but they liked that matchup with Cryer versus Knipple.
Yeah.
And I felt like they were doing a whole lot of, kind of dummy action to get that switch and kind of get the matchup that they wanted.
Because they knew Duke was going to switch everything.
Yeah, and they knew they were
Duke
going to
was
switch
everything. You got to give a ton of credit to Houston, but I think the story of this is the way that Duke handled the late game scenarios there.
Hadn't been in it?
We saw, so in the ACC tournament they were. Cooper Flagg wasn't there, but in the ACC tournament they were. In 3 of their last 4 games before the tournament started, they trailed in the second half. At North Carolina, Georgia Tech in the game when Cooper Flagg got hurt, and then Louisville in the championship game.
North Carolina allowed them to execute because that might have been a – but
and then
if North Carolina wins, maybe they –
the game where they didn't trail in the second half was the Carolina game where they almost gave back a 21-point lead in the second half, right? We've seen Duke do this stuff before, and part of it is when it gets to crunch time and all you're doing is matchup hunting, you're kind of banking on, okay, Cooper Flagg's got to go make a play. And a lot of what he was settling for was kind of mid-range fadeaway stuff. Like Shire said, I love the shot that we got. We had the best player in the country, 6 feet away from the rim, taking a shot. I'll take that every day. I don't know if a fadeaway turnaround over Jawan Roberts is necessarily the shot that I want in that scenario with the Final Four and a chance to get to a national championship on the line. I don't know if I love the way that he tried to drain the clock down the stretch. John, we were talking about this earlier. It felt like they were trying to get to the end of the game as opposed to
take the game.
Yeah,
put them in
the grave. Right?
Some of the most memorable losses I have in my career as a player come from trying not to lose. Like if I was coaching, one of the first things I would say is, if we're down the stretch and we have a comfortable-ish lead, you keep playing. Like I love what Florida did. They were in a similar scenario point-wise. They try to throw a lob.
He threw the lob.
They're attacking.
I wasn't with him on the lob.
I wasn't with him at
I
all.
wasn't with him on the lob. I'm not going to lie. I jumped out of my seat.
The
one
late in the game.
Yeah, he threw one
dribble
like
that
40
thing out.
seconds left.
I would prefer that mindset.
Go for the jugular.
I've played before, and I mean, he got fouled. He got to go to the free throw.
Go for the jugular.
I try to bury him.
Yeah.
And Duke was just like, okay.
Clock watching.
Ooh, okay, we're good. Let's just slow it down. No, keep playing how you're playing.
Damn, this a long game.
So what that leads me to is I do believe, and we'll talk about this more with Fan and Goodwin when they come out, but I do believe that this is going to be something that sticks with Shire for a long time.
He's not going to sleep for a while.
But I'm not just talking about, like, him personally. I mean, this is going to be the narrative that surrounds him as a coach for a long time. We know how this stuff goes in the NCAA tournament in March. When you have a loss like this, when you are a new coach, when you are someone that has, lost to your in-state rival with a chance to go to the Final Four when they were an 11 seed, right? When you had the greatest coach of all time had his career ended by John Henson's Tar Heels in the Final Four on the biggest stage of the sport, right? That's something that this is going to be part of the way that we view him as a coach until he wins one. He is now going to be the guy that can't get it done.
That's why
that's what is going to stick with him until he wins a championship.
Well,
and I don't know if that's fair, but that's what it's going to be.
It's definitely not fair.
It's not fair.
But that's why I said earlier today, I don't remember if it was with you guys or on Sirius, but like who needs this the most? He does. Because of Coach K and him taking over for him and all those things. Now, look, he's won an ACC championship. He's gotten to a Final Four. What is this, year 3? Like, I mean, we're still relatively new in this entire deal. Mm-hmm. So, but that's why I felt like he needed this maybe more than those other guys, just because of the situation that he's in.
And you just feel for, I thought in Carolina the year we lost, we had the best team. You ask anybody in the country, coaches, we thought we had an injury. And stuff like that, man, like it's so tough to get back to the pinnacle.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to have on paper essentially the best team ever, analytically, besides the Duke team, 96 or 97, like it's going to be tougher. This was you could say it was light up until this point.
No, there's no question. Just to speak to, and I know what you're saying, John, because as an athlete, even as a coach, these things never die in your mind. Like you miss an opportunity where you feel like, man, we had the best team in the country, and we should have won a national championship.
Yeah.
That's not something that you get over.
No, sir.
I'm still not
Cooper
over
Flag
2014.
and Knipple, you know what I'm saying? Like, you
I'm
don't
still
get
not over it.
man.
We won 30 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
We were undefeated in the SEC. We went 21-0 in the SEC, counting the SEC tournament. Hottest team in the country. Got Shabazz Napier. I'm still not over it.
We were Elite Eight. We were up down the stretch against Kentucky, and Liggins doesn't shoot a three in the corner. Kyle rips him. I mean, this is like plays in my head every time I think about it. You better if you will never play at Kentucky again if you do not shoot the ball when it gets to the corner. They're up one. We got to get a stop. Brandon Knight kicks to the corner. Kendall Marshall helps. Liggins shoots that thing with his eyes closed. Oh my God! It goes in. We're going home. And so that stuff like that just
You don't.
Yeah.
They're gonna just think about
Yeah.
this one too, because not only did they lose, it's how they lost.
Yeah.
100%.
It's having a 6-point lead with essentially a minute to go. It's all those types of things.
Controlling the whole game, too. I think that's the biggest thing. We sat there and we watched that game, and even though it never got past like 15 points, it felt like a 20-point game in some instances. But, again, we just kept saying Houston was just hanging around. So it felt like Duke controlled 99% of that game into the last minute and 30 seconds.
They did. They look. They
So
gave
that's-
this
it
game
sucks.
away. Like I'm trying not to not. I don't mind overreacting.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to be like harsh about this.
Yeah,
right?
I get you.
Because they don't need people like us piling on.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
question.
100%.
They
Oh,
killing them.
no.
Duke gave this game away. There's no other way to say it. Like, yes,
And they
Houston
know
had
it, too.
Houston had to make the shots.
Yeah.
They had to make the plays. They had to do all of that. The stuff on the press break. Yes, that was great. But you missed a lot of shots. One field goal in the last. I know Houston's great defensively. It's supposed to be the best offense we've ever seen in college basketball, right? According to Ken Pom, one field goal last 11 minutes. That is not acceptable. You can't win that way. You miss a free throw from the guy that's supposed to be your veteran leader. Like that cannot happen.
Had a bad
That
night.
can't happen.
Him
had
having
a
a bad
bad
game.
night.
really
Here's
did.
the one. You talked about Emmanuel Sharp 3, right? After the missed free throw, it's
Yeah.
6 with 33 seconds
Big
left,
tip,
right?
okay.
And he comes down and they miss a switch. It was the first time the entire game they missed the switch, but they missed the switch, and that's why Emmanuel Sharp got wide. I think it was like a ghost screen or something.
Shot
like
fake.
that. I didn't.
Shot
I'm not
fake,
the coach.
over help.
Bang.
Yeah, I mean,
But
left
they
your feet.
they missed the switch and they leave the best shooter on the team wide open. You can't do that, right? You can't turn the ball over on an inbounds if you want to win a championship against. Like they gave that game away, and I don't. I feel bad saying it like that, but I don't want to talk around it because that's what happened.
The technical foul.
That was a big one too.
But
man.
I'm
we
saying
can get
the
into that.
technical foul, when that happens, the whole arena thinks that Duke's winning this
over.
game.
Mm-hmm.
The game's over. Duke's winning this game. He goes to the line. He makes it. Now you get the ball back. You run a set. You run a play, and Knipple goes down the lane and takes a tough shot. Like you can't go in amongst the trees on this Houston defense and think you're going to get a basket in that type of situation.
And he falls down.
And he falls down.
So what's that leave on the other end, Matt? Is a man down. It's a 5-on-4 going the other way.
But it's almost like they panicked a little bit. Was the moment too big?
I think it was. I think that it was. But the reason why I hesitate to say that is that we've kind of seen the writing on the wall for this. You know, this is not the first time that they struggled. This happened on the first big game of the season in
Auburn.
the Champions Classic. Remember, they had the 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
Cooper Flag committed the turnovers, right? This happened in the Kansas game.
Yeah.
They had 2 mistakes in the last couple of possessions, and I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is necessarily on Shire, but I do think that there is something to be said about the fact that in big moments and down the stretch here, you dribble the clock out, you try to hunt a matchup. There was one where when Proctor got fouled going to the line, they saw that Proctor was guarding him. They called him out to set the ball screen with Cooper. They waited until there was 10 seconds on the clock and then just ran a ball screen and let Cooper make a play, which is great. You could do that in the NBA. But when you got 18 and 19-year-olds and all you're doing is trying to say, I'm going to try to get Cooper Flagg to go win a matchup or Con Knipple to go win a matchup, like, that's a hard – sometimes you need more than just we're going to go find a mismatch and attack that mismatch.
Move the floor.
With a guy that should – like, he's supposed to be a high school senior. So, on the one hand, I think when it works, it seems like it's something that's really idea. Smart. Yep. But when you're in a one-game sample size, and maybe that's just what it is. This is an event like this. Go ahead. I'm
No, but there
now.
was a play in the second half that was – it was a middle ball screen – Proctor has it. He throws a no-look pass. Dime, no look to Malik Brown underneath the rim. Okay, Malik Brown takes it
and kicks it
right to the corner for Cooper. Like that would run something like that.
We thought it was
that was a dime.
Yeah, we thought that was.
Where was that? That didn't happen the rest of the game.
Everyone felt like a dagger. I asked this though, Matt, because I thought. First of all, let's get credit to John. I thought he's been great all year ATO situations.
Agreed.
I did not love that last play with just him and Roberts. Like, let's do something at least to get a favorable matchup. This is the primary matchup. This is the guy that they started the game with, you know what I mean, guarding Cooper Flagg, because that's the guy that they're most confident in. Let's get some type of action with him and Knipple or him and whoever else is in the game just to try to get a better look or easier advantage to get a great look instead of a turnaround 7-foot jumper over pretty hardly contested,
good defense.
Yep.
Shot.
Listen, we gotta get to a break, but on the other side, we have to get to the Houston side of this conversation because I don't think enough can be said about the determination to make that comeback.
Culture,
shot making. LJ Cryer. I said LJ Cryer is a tough shot maker, and they rely on him making tough shots, and I don't think he's going to be good enough to make the tough shots in this matchup. And he made me look like a fool. LJ, I'm sorry. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Owning property in the state of Texas is difficult enough. Paying taxes on your property should not make your life any more complicated. Ownwell believes that when it comes to paying property taxes, you should only pay what's fair. In under 3 minutes, you can sign up and have their team of Texas experts start saving you money without a single upfront cost. It's easy. When you sign up, you get an instant estimate of the tax savings they can get you so that when that property tax bill comes due, the amount that you have to fork over to Uncle Sam isn't quite as painful. Put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of customers receive a reduction with an average savings of more than $1,100. Imagine how much less stress you'll have in your life knowing that you could take some of the money that you have earmarked for the IRS and spend it on, an 85-inch flat screen to watch March Madness. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most Texas counties. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/CBB. That's OWNWELL.com/CBB. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
When we entered this week, we said, man, this Final Four is special. It really needs to deliver the goods. It delivered in every way, and even in the most shocking of ways, with the shocker of all shockers, the Houston Cougars go from being 14 down with an offense that at times could be limited against the nation's #1 offense, hold Duke to one made field goal in the last 9 minutes of the game, close the game on a 25-8 and 11-1 run. 11-1 run, and they beat Duke 70-67. Matt McCall, Jeff Goodman, Jerome McNeil, John Fanta. Jeff, you just were in the back. We were just in the back with Kelvin Sampson. How did your conversation end?
Well, it ended okay. It didn't start very well when I said, Kelvin, crazy. Can you believe it? And he looked at me and he's like, you're not a coach. You've never been a coach. Of course I believe it. And I think part of it was what they did at Kansas. I think part of it was what they did at Kansas.
Has
and
he coached?
said that was 2 miracles.
Do you think he would win?
We already discussed this. I would put together a hell of a staff and win. Anyway, at Kansas, they did 2 miracles. Yes. So I think he's looking at this as, if we can do that at Fog Allen, then this was honestly, I don't want to say nothing, but this, still for me, guys, it's so hard. I've been doing this for so long. I can't remember coming away from a game of this magnitude with this amount of shock. And maybe it's because Cooper Flagg and Duke were on the other side. But I think the other part is, you looked at Houston and the whole game, you felt like they never had a real shot until the end, right?
No.
They were outplayed the entire game. I heard you saying at the end, Matt, like some of the plays that Duke was running, you're like, man, they're making every right decision. They're spraying the ball, whoever it is. And then all of a sudden the thing kind of flipped a little bit and they had game pressure on them. And I don't know if it was because of the ACC. I don't know if it's because, again, we got to give credit to Houston here and how mentally tough they are. Not just the physical toughness is something we've talked about for a long time, but the mental toughness to stay engaged in that game, to play as hard as they were, to get back in it and then win it at the end with, Jaywan Roberts making those free throws.
Line drive.
Huge. Oh, my goodness.
Line drive. Did you think there's any chance those were going in when they left his hands?
Not both. I thought he'd make one of 2 at that point, and you're right. He line drived them both.
But he's been shooting 150 free throws the last 7 nights.
Every night.
That's
Every
what's-
night.
yeah,
He puts in the work. But think about this, guys. Think about this. L.J. Cryer is the first player with 25 points and 6 made threes in a Final Four game since Bobby Hurley in 1992.
That's crazy.
Jawan Roberts is the first with 10 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 stocks, so steals and blocks in a Final Four game since Grant Hill in 94. Meaning, it took some all-time individual performances for them to give themselves a shot in this game. Let me ask you this. I know that we focused a lot on Duke previously. When did your mind start to think, we'll go you, and then you on this. When did your mind start to think Houston could win this game?
I think when I looked up at the scoreboard and I said, I cannot believe this is a 5-point game. I feel like Duke should be up 15 right now. I feel like Duke should be up 20. I cannot believe it's a 5-point game. Jeff just brought up mental toughness, how tough this team is. To overcome the technical foul,
well said.
the whole gym thought it was over. It was over. To overcome the technical foul.
I think
and that
JoJo
was
Tugler, he hung his head. He's like, I just screwed up.
like I just lost my team at the Final Four. He's banging his head. I just lost my team an opportunity to play for a national championship. Kelvin Sampson calls him over. I don't know what he said. I couldn't read his lips.
He said what he said was, I didn't even have to yell at him because I knew how bad he felt and he knew he screwed up.
And they overcame that.
They did.
I mean, that's toughness.
They overcame a Cooper Flagg made 3 with 3 minutes to go in it, and that made it a 9-point game. When did you start to believe in Houston?
I thought it was, and me and John were saying it the whole time, but every single time, and just basketball is a weird game like that with momentum shifts. 15 points, Cryer hits a big shot. 11 points, Jaywan Roberts hits a put back offensive. It was just something keeping them around, and eventually, at some point down the stretch, they shut Duke's water off, man, and they could not get anything going offensively. And at that point, Houston never played great offensively the whole night, but it was just impressive because they kept with their game plan. I think you said it, their toughness. The word that comes to mind for me right away was just the poise. Like, they played at a really slow pace, and they were down the entire game and never panicked.
We're not. We're
right,
definitely
because
not.
If you knew if they could put real game pressure on Duke at the end, how would they react? Because they hadn't been in it a lot, number one, and they had freshmen. Cooper Flagg is still a freshman, no matter what we want to say.
Oh, 100%.
Well, you know what it was? Alabama was within 7 But Alabama defensively,
Right.
Houston
Yeah,
is far better than that.
You know
You're
when it
going to
was
be
for me?
Yep.
You know when it was
yeah,
for me?
when was it?
When they called that foul on Cooper Flag. That's when it was.
Well, that was
They-
a bad
Well,
call.
that was late.
That's
I
when
don't
I
agree
thought,
with that call.
But when they did that, I was like, you know what? If they're going to make that call on Cooper Flag, okay, they're not going to steal this game from Houston. I just felt like the officials at some point, whether it's at Cameron, whether it's at the Alamodome, they usually get the benefit of the call.
I didn't like that call.
That was the epitome of Houston's culture, though. And we throw around that word. But, Jarrell, how many teams in the country, like I was thinking about this too, how many teams come back against Duke tonight? I say one, and it's the team that they faced.
I think that's the only one, John.
From that
It's the only one.
deficit, absolutely.
It's the only
I mean,
one.
I think for me it was when Sharp hit the three. I'm like, uh-oh. Now
That got
now
him to six,
it's
right?
like,
That got
uh-oh.
him to
Now
six.
three. He hit a
Three.
shot.
Oh, he got
the
it.
Make it
three
three.
like that. Now it's like, uh-oh. Now Duke's in a one-possession game. What's going to happen
Right.
here?
When it got to one possession,
What's
you're
gonna
like,
happen?
Okay, how are they going to tighten up?
Down 6 though, in the half.
40
the
seconds.
balls. Yeah, I mean
To not foul.
To not foul. And we're gonna get a stop. We're okay.
Well, their defense is the
And
best part of what they do.
My God, they did it. They did it, and it led right to that 3 from Sharp. One possession game, and it's just like everybody. We were up there, and all our heads are about to explode.
We have the exclusive, Kelvin Sampson. This is just minutes ago. Kelvin Sampson, when your team was down by 14 tonight, what were you thinking?
Just hang in there. There's 8 or 9 minutes left, right? I can't remember. And I still think that we were still looking for things. Duke is so good defensively. I mean, they are. Their length across the line. So I think as a coach, you're always probing and looking at and find a matchup, finding something that'll click. And the thing that we found was putting Emmanuel on the ball. Their two best on-ball defenders was Proctor and James. So I had to get those two guys out of there, and we put Emmanuel on the ball. And the thing that we told Emmanuel, I remember telling Shed this last year when we won at Cincinnati, get the ball in the paint. Don't pull up and shoot jumpers. Once you get downhill, take the paint, and you're going to make Mulowach come up. Just get it on the rim. We'll go get it. And that's JoJo and Juan got some offensive rebounds, and if we couldn't get it up on the rim, we could throw it out and maybe get a 3.
Look, we live in this world where everybody just looks at the highlight. They look at a made free throw and they're like, wow, he came through. But you saw Juwan Roberts when nobody was watching. How many free throws has this young man taken?
There's 7 of them. Now, LJ and LJ and Emmanuel don't do it. But I think we got about 9. Javier, you shoot 150 every night, right? Yeah. You made 2 tonight, right? There you go. I'd say about 8 guys. I mean, it's 7 nights a week, every night. If we don't practice on Sunday, they come in with the managers and make 150, and then they record it and they put it on my under my. And I look at it every single day. I look at our free throw numbers from the night before every single day.
You had embraces with Jim Nance. Hakeem Olajuwon sitting courtside. There's Houston greats everywhere. You talked earlier about how you want to build those championship moments in the current day. How fitting is it that this team, this group that came back at Allen Fieldhouse down 6 with 9 seconds to go, that came back tonight from 14 down with 8 minutes to go, that they are 40 minutes from a national championship?
We've been a good team all year. We don't always we may not always be aesthetically pleasing. Some people have this demure look of what the game should look like, and we don't fit that because we're not very pretty sometimes. But there's something to be said about having a culture that's based on how you win. There's some nights when the ball goes in and teams don't have defensive players like Duke does, or don't have defensive players like this team does or that team does. But our team is they think they're going to win every game they play. Irregardless of what other people think or say, they think they're going to win. And we've always been our best when we have a player-led program. LJ didn't give up. Juan didn't give up. Those are our two oldest guys. Emmanuel played well down the stretch. Milos had a stretch there. We got down at halftime by 6, and I said, fellas, we can't play any worse, and we're down 6. What's the problem here? And then we started the half. We made a couple little slick, quick adjustments, and we were scoring every possession. I think we were 6 for 8. The problem was they were 6 for 12, and so that's 4 more shot attempts than us. And we usually part of our goal every game is to win the possession game. I think we were plus 8 or 9 tonight. We've had games where we're plus 20. And if you have that many more possessions, that means you're not turning it over and you're getting second shots. And that's usually a pretty good formula.
Last thing, will you go right to bed now?
No, I will not go to sleep. I'll go because I can't go to sleep. I won't watch this game, but I'll start watching some of Florida and Walter Clayton Jr. I saw him. I'd never seen him before. I walked up to him and told him I was a huge fan. And now we got to figure out how we can play with those guys.
Unbelievable. And for Kelvin Sampson to now lead this program to a national championship, Hakeem Olajuwon courtside, and you got Jim Nance in tears. He's back here on Monday night. Masters Week's going to start late for Jim Nance. And the Houston Cougars are in the title game. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room here. Jeff, these guys have already reacted. What is your reaction to Duke losing this game?
I mean, just you look at John Shire and Duke a year ago, and you lose in the Elite Eight to NC State. And you're thinking about that one all year. And you got Cooper Flagg, the best player in the country. And you got 2 other freshmen that don't play like freshmen. And you've got Tyrese Proctor, who's been playing great basketball but didn't really play well tonight. You're up 14 with 8 minutes left. This thing is over. Everybody in the building, pretty much other than, I guess, Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars, feels like this thing is a wrap. This is one that again, could haunt John Shire for a long time, could haunt this Duke. I mean, we saw Ken Jong was right in front of me. Right in front of me, the Duke grad, the diehard Duke fan. It was
plus 8,000.
Trevor tells us, to come back when they were down 14. That was the money line. Again, I can't believe their offense in the last few minutes. I just don't know what happened because, again, they were moving the ball so well. Yeah, like they were doing all the right things. Everybody was making all the right plays. They were passing the ball. They were getting open shots against a really good Houston team. And then all of a sudden, again, it just flipped with a couple possessions. They were never they were never able to get it and put the game completely away. You thought it was done at 14, but they were never able to completely put it away. So I think this one, again, we'll see what happens in John Shire's career. He made a Final Four. Obviously, that's an incredible accomplishment. But for Duke fans, the way it was, they're not going to be looking at it that way. They're going to be looking at the one that got away.
Let me get the coach's perspective here.
Coach speak?
Without no coach speak on this. What would you tell him right now?
What a year. What a year. You got to a Final Four. Look, out of all the guys that have taken over for Legends, out of all the guys that have stepped into these guys' shoes, Kyle Neptune not coaching anymore. Hubert Davis, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. This guy's winning ACC championships, got his team to the Final Four. He's beating everybody in recruiting. What a year. And but this is going to sting. This is not one of those things. I mean, look, we were the best team in the country in 2014. We were talking about it earlier. I'm still not over getting shabusinessed by UConn in that game. And I wasn't the head coach. I was an assistant. This one stings because you had it.
It's going to stick with him.
Won. You had the
game
it, and
you had a good chance at winning the whole thing.
And I think the small things that I think about, Cooper Flagg only comes around once.
Yes.
He gets 1 year. Con
Jerome.
Knipple gets 1 year. Right. You get one shot at it with these guys. And it kind of speaks to what you were saying too, Jeff. They're guys that they're young still. They're still freshmen. Yeah. Cooper Flagg should be a senior in high school because they're so
and you could feel late.
And mature. Absolutely.
They were tight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they haven't been in the spot often.
But the thing about this is John is 37. I still fully believe he's going to win national championships. 100%. I do believe that. That being said.
I mean, you remember the Rob Dosser line from the other day, right?
What was that?
It was something to the effect of, this is the best team he'll ever have, John Shire.
Well, I don't know if that's the case because
none of us know.
We can't read into the future. And
I mean,
oh, by the way,
Bobby D is kind of he looks into his crystal ball.
This wasn't the goal of the segment, and again, we're now taking shots as he's off camera.
He'll be back. He'll be back to defend himself.
I have him working on headlines. He's going to do headlines at the end of the night.
Can he type them up?
Yeah, he's typing them up as we speak. Good. Let's talk about the Florida Gators here before you head to bed, sir. The Florida Gators.
Can I do it? Am I allowed?
Take down Auburn, and they're going to the national championship game. Walter Clayton had a career-high 34 points.
First player since Larry Bird to go for 30 in the Elite Eight and 30 in the Final Four. Since Larry Bird. So I asked him about that in the locker room. He has to know who Larry Bird is, right? But he was like, no, that's kind of cool. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
That's amazing.
He shows no emotion, though. Honor
that's
off
what
the
makes
court.
him good.
Yeah, no, he's a killer. He's a stone cold killer.
First team All-American.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's the best guard in the country.
First one in school history.
That was a shock.
He's the best player left in this tournament.
I would have thought during the Noah year, I thought one of those.
None of those guys were first team All-American.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
He is. You know, look, watching that game, Florida was the more connected team. Florida was the better team. Florida was the more connected team. I was just watching guys go to the bench during timeouts and how Florida was going to their bench and Auburn was going to their bench. Florida's the more connected team. But the game changed.
Yes.
Up 9. Miles Kelly drives baseline right there. Shoots an awful shot. Floater. Hits the top of the backboard.
Yeah, he had no angle whatsoever.
Hits the top of the backboard. Florida comes down, scores. What now? That 9-point lead evaporated
Quickly.
in about 2 minutes.
And I think the turning point just was the second half in general, Matt. I felt like Auburn was more physical the first half.
Yes.
I thought Condon was very bad the first half.
Condon didn't have a good game at all.
And he was getting bullied around a little bit. Will Richard and how do you say it?
Hauk.
And Ruben. And the big guy early was awesome.
They changed the game. Will Richard got about 3 steals, got out of easy transition breaks. I thought those guys were huge X factors for Florida.
Matt, Florida is one of the few teams that for basically the whole game, you're committing single-man coverage to Janai Broome. They held him to 6 of 14 in the game, and as a result, in 2 games against the Auburn Tigers, Florida held Auburn to 14 of 47 from 3. They were able to turn off Auburn's attack from the perimeter, and they shut Tahad Pettiford down.
But really, to me, the biggest issue for Auburn, they couldn't keep Walter Clayton out of the lane. Their pick and roll coverage was bad. He was turning the corner all game long. When he was coming off handoffs, when he was coming off ball screens, he was living in the lane. He kept turning the corner, and he was able to finish. I mean, we talk about his shooting, right? Like, you know, the threes that he makes are absolutely ridiculous. The guy was making layups today. Like layups. The possession down on that end of the floor where the whole lane just was wide. I'm like, where's Janai Broome protecting the basket? Yeah. Where's Janai Broome protecting the rim? Walter Clayton could have walked in and shot that layup.
Did you think he was 100%? Like, what percent would you put him at? Now that you watch.
Close. I think I've seen him a ton this year. I know he's not 100, but the way Janai moves, always, he always kind of looks like he's not 100%.
This is where we could have used Dr. David Chow.
That's right. The doctor could have done a good evaluation here. Clayton just...
We paid for John Martin to be here. We could have paid for Dr. Chow.
That's very true. We could have got more from Chow, no doubt. Clayton, what blows me away about Walter Clayton Jr. is you can't speed him up.
No.
You cannot speed that kid up. I remember saying this when I saw him at Iona against UConn a couple years ago in the NCAA Tournament game. I'm watching him.
The only team to push UConn in the tournament
exactly.
for 2 years?
Exactly.
That's right.
This kid doesn't get rattled. He's poised. You don't know if he's up 20, down 20. I mean, Kelvin was just talking about him as I was walking out of the arena with him, and he's like, Clayton, top 10 pick in the NBA draft. I'm like, no, not. He's like, really? Like, how could he not be with what that kid's done? And he has turned himself into a first-round pick, I think, ultimately. But he could score in every imaginable way. You said, yeah, their defense hasn't been great. It wasn't great tonight. But a big part of that was
Walter Clayton, no question.
I mean, they don't know how to guard him.
The other thing too is I don't know if this story gets talked about enough. We're all fans because we were down there in Boca Raton watching him, Elijah Martin, to see what he did 2 years ago in this tournament, get his team to the Final Four, one possession away from playing for a national championship, to struggling last year. The expectations got to everybody within that program, to seeing his coach go to Michigan, and now he's back here playing for it all. And some of the plays he made, I asked him in the back by the locker room. I was like, "Was that the best dunk of your career?" And he was like, "No, the one versus Kansas State." But we went and watched that one versus Kansas State. That's the best dunk of his career. That's not even close. I'll take that out of his hand.
When he sees the pictures and the video,
that's the best dunk of his career.
It got me out my seat.
We got Todd Golden with Rob from earlier. Here's that exclusive conversation.
Todd Golden, fresh off of advancing to Florida's first national championship game since 2007. That was when Bill Donovan was the coach. He was in the building tonight. What's it mean, man?
It's special. Just really happy and happy for our team, happy for our players and our staff. They've done a great job all year. Just working hard to get ourselves in this position, and we're on the biggest stage in America, and our guys have stepped up in big moments and found ways to win tough games down the stretch. It's really special, and I'm really proud of our program to be able to compete on Monday night to win a national championship.
Second half, you guys came out with a different level of intensity. How much of that was Carlin Hartman in there firing everybody up?
It was part of it for sure. It was we were talking as a staff, and next thing I know, I hear Coach getting after him pretty good, and I'm like, all right, well, he's an amazing coach and has the respect of every player on our team. And I think he just kind of let them know, like, hey, like, we weren't ourselves in the first half, and credit to Auburn. They're a great team, and they dictated. And for us to win the game in the second half, we had to flip it a little bit. And credit to our guys. They received the message, didn't pout, and then played with a lot better physicality in the second half. And our defense and rebounding was a huge reason why we were able to win that game.
I'm impressed with your ability to kind of bring it back down to even keel, because you are as fired up as I've seen you on the sideline today.
Yeah, it was a lot on the line tonight, and a lot of high stakes, and you're just fighting out there, fighting for your team. Trying to make sure you get a good whistle, trying to make sure that your guys know that you're behind them. And first opportunity for me to coach in a Final Four, probably a little more amped than some of these other guys that have done it before, but. I'll try to be a little more even-keeled on Monday night.
So you're the guy that's kind of like the analytics guy, that we're going to do it differently, we're going to do it the smart way, and you come out here and it's just, Walter Clayton's going to hit some ridiculous shots. That's how you're going to coach and win this game.
It's a great analytical decision to let him shoot the basketball first and foremost. But, big picture, defensively, I think our plan ended up working. In the first half, they got us a little bit with the one-on-one coverage in the post, but we didn't want to give their great shooters threes. We didn't, Janai's a great passer out of the post, and, I think we wore him down a little bit. He only made one field goal in the second half. We did a great job guarding the line. And most importantly, we finished possessions with one shot in the second half. It allowed us to get on transition a little bit, and, Walt and other guys stepped up and made huge plays down the stretch.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thanks, Rob.
Wow. I still – it's 2 hours after the game ended, and I'm still just in shock.
Me
I think I'm
too.
going to wake up tomorrow and still be in shock.
Fana, the 2000 – think about this in San Antonio. We saw the Mario Chalmers shot for Kansas, right? I mean, I was there for that. There was like 2 minutes left. Remember, Memphis was up, I think, 9 with like 2:12, 2:15 left. Right. CDR missed a couple. Derrick Rose missed a couple. Chalmers hits the three right back here, put it in overtime. That was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. This is right there with it. So San Antonio, man, it delivers when it comes to the Final Four.
Just keep it here.
Every year.
All right, the line is 1.5 Monday night between Florida and Houston.
Connected team. Houston's toughness is going to be tough to overcome.
Can you say that Can you say
After
the
what we
most
just watched?
connected-
After
I
what
don't
we
know.
just
After
watched?
what
Not
we
sure I
just
use that
watched.
word. You might say the better
Did you come to
team
me or did you go to
talent-wise.
this?
I'm just saying.
Can I go to bed?
Connected.
Can I go to bed?
Wait, so Houston
sure
is
can.
very connected?
Houston's connected. I just felt like watching today. Out of all the 14, I'm just saying what I saw. And like
You know what I
Jarrell,
see?
you were talking
You know
about
what I
earlier.
see? A gator.
It's great to be a Florida Gator.
We will be back with these guys' early reads on the national championship game. Matt McCall, thank you for joining us on this fine
Chomp one more
Saturday
time.
night.
One more chomp.
It's always a pleasure. It's great to
We'll
be a Florida
right
Gator.
back.
People have opinions about me, strong ones. Some compare my brand to the competition and call me a copycat. Some say that I'm just watered down, that I fall flat. I've heard it all. But the people who get me, they say I'm different, subtle, but balanced. Nothing to hide, nothing artificial. And once they give me a chance, they keep coming back for more. For more dad water. That's right, I'm talking about dad water, and I swear by it. No bubbles, no fizz, just a smooth, refreshing canned cocktail made with real tequila. 100 calories, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and gluten-free. Find Dad Water's 4 flavors in an 8-pack variety pack or single flavor 6-packs. Dad Water invites you to enjoy its great lineup of products all tournament long. Take it from me, Jeff Goodman. Sometimes the most polarizing things are the best things. Dad Water, tequila, water, natural flavors.
Welcome back to the Alamodome, everybody. John Fanta, Rob Doster, Jeff Goodman, Jarrell McNeil. We still are looking up at that score, and the board reads Houston 70, Duke 67. Just unbelievable. With 8 minutes left, you're thinking this is going to be Cooper Flagg with a smile. John Shire knows he's 40 minutes from a title. It's everything you thought it would be. And instead, just like in 2022, some Duke heartbreak of a different kind. Their last 2 Final Four games have ended with some jaw-dropping moments. I mean, that was in New Orleans when Krzyzewski came off the floor. And people, at that point, it was like, wow, that's it. Mike Krzyzewski's done. And when Flagg was walking off tonight, I'm like, that we've just seen him play his last college game.
Yeah, which again, you just didn't see coming. Usually you can prepare for these things a little bit. Even I think there was a level of shock in his face at how quickly that thing flipped. They thought they were going to the championship game. And I don't know if it was they took their foot off the gas necessarily. I just think they stopped playing the way they had been playing.
They absolutely did they quite literally took their foot off the gas, because what they do this at the end of games when they have the lead, right? The ball goes in. They let it bounce. They walk over. They pick it up. They throw it to the ref. The ref throws it back to them. You get 5 seconds there added. Then they stand there and they wait a couple seconds. They bounce the ball in and they let it bounce a couple seconds there before they pick it up. Yes, they're trying. You steal.
Work the clock.
You
Right,
steal 10,
some
11, 12 seconds. Then they dribble it. They dribble it up. They wait until there's about 12 seconds left. Shire picks out what matchup they want. Then they'll figure out what play they're going to run, and it's a basic action, a ball screen to get a switch. They're trying to get Knippel in a certain pin down. They want to get Cooper Flagg posted up here or get him isolated here, and then they just go and let their guy make a play. And for the most part this season, that has been effective enough that they've been able to drain the clock and win games because they've been up by enough and they're not playing a good enough team. They ran into a Houston team that was good enough to be able to make them pay. And we talked about this a little bit before you got here, Jeff. All the credit in the world to Houston. Duke gave this one away, and it was mistakes.
Yeah, it's a combination.
And
obviously,
it's
got to
to make
be.
the
Everybody
shots.
always says those things
Yes.
like, well, did they piss it away or did they steal
always
it?
both.
It's
Yes.
always a combination of both.
Yes,
But if you were to say what happened more, if you had to
Sure.
pick one,
Yeah, Duke pissed it away.
It's one of the all-time collapses in the history of the NCAA tournament.
And you know what we haven't talked about at all yet in this game?
It is.
The flagrant foul on Mason Gillis. How big of a game-changing moment that was. Duke. It was 40. It was 59-45. There was 8 minutes and 17 seconds left. They were up by 14 with 8 minutes and 17 seconds
and then
left.
It went to 11.
L.J. Cryer hit a 3.
Yep.
On the box out, Mason Gillis's elbow hit. I don't remember who it was. It might have been JoJo Tugler in the face. I think it was JoJo Tugler, and it's a flagrant foul. They make a free throw. They get the ball back. They score. 6-point possession. All of a sudden, it goes from being they're dead in the water to this might be a game, right? Then they get a stop. Houston bangs a 3. Get a stop, or Houston gets a bucket. Get a stop. Houston gets a bucket. All of a sudden, there's 4 minutes left, and it's 59-55, and Houston has life. And
the under 4. You're right. The under 4. They go into that timeout, and they're like, "Holy shit,
we got a game." Yeah. But here's the thing: then Duke, they scored. That's where they the one time that they actually were able to pick out a matchup that they liked was they had L.J. Cryer on Tyrese Proctor. They called him out. They set the ball screen. They get him rolling to the basket. Cryer misses up a roll. Proctor gets foul, goes to line, makes 2. Get a stop. Next possession, Cooper Flagg bangs that 3 1/4 with 2 minutes left. I think you tweeted it, Fana. I think you tweeted it after he banged that. Didn't you? Someone tweeted it. I definitely tweeted it. Cooper Flagg, dagger.
I didn't tweet that.
I think it might have been Bozo.
You're up by 9 with 2 minutes left.
Close.
As the
Now
best
we're just
team
making up tweets.
He was on the edge.
Team in the country. Whatever it
By
was.
the way,
we all.
can I say, I'm sorry to go on my soapbox for a second. Like, with 8 minutes to go, I put out there that this looks. It looks like we're heading towards this being. We're all but done here. It's because we were.
Yes.
They were up by 14.
Trevor said what the live odds were, plus
8,000. Do you know what it was, Jarrell? It was, you're on the date with the girl and everything's going well for you to have a perfect ending to the night, and then you just fumbled the bag at the end, and it ended. You ever been on a date like that? We're just like, I screwed up there.
Never been on a date like that. Come on, he can't relate.
100%. I'm a pretty good. I used to be a pretty good closer. My closing days are over now, but absolutely. And you kind of got everything. You got all the momentum going your way. You're talking to her good. Dinner was great. You pick out a nice spot. You got on a nice shirt, and next thing you know, you get in the car and you
spill the wine on your shirt.
That's
say
it.
the wrong thing.
Spill the wine on your shirt.
Do you know what that was? That was where bettors have learned this the hard way that have bet against Houston when it's like a 15-point spread, 17-point, and you're like, oh, man, that's too many points. It's too many points. You know what Houston does in a Big 12 game when they're up by 18 and the other team is quitting? They win the game by 26. They just keep – they don't do an awards presentation with 2 minutes to go in the game. He makes his team finish out the game whether they're up 10, down 10. That's where you benefit.
The exact same way.
Yep.
They're not going to change anything.
And you know what?
Like you said, Duke did. They changed. They changed what they ran, how they were running it. And again, those guys they're young. They're young, and when it got close, I do think it was like Houston thinking like we got these dudes. They're looking at them like you know what?
They were shaking.
Yeah.
You know what else, Ron? This is where Houston doesn't have any game like tonight beforehand if they're playing on the American Athletic Conference. Let's be real.
That's a great point.
That's where being in the Big 12.
And Kelvin told me he didn't want to leave the AAC too. That's the craziest part.
Without being in the Big 12.
He turned the Big 12 into the AAC. They own that. They own that now.
The way they rolled through.
Can I just say, the one thing that I think I'm most appreciative of tonight was we spent literally just 6 straight days, ever since the Final Four was set. No, we're talking about how good this Final Four has a chance to be. I think we said, I definitely said it.
We all did.
This has the potential to be the greatest Final Four ever.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that, but yes, it's up there.
The first game delivered.
Yes,
Auburn, Florida delivered.
The
that was
second
unbelievable.
Game didn't deliver till the end.
And then it had the
awesome.
One of the greatest comebacks we've ever seen in the history of the Final Four, on par. I think you mentioned it with Memphis and Florida, or Memphis and Kansas in this building in the championship game in 2008, and. There are a lot of times the last couple of years. Yes.
because it involved Duke.
And the number one pick.
Cooper Flag,
Yeah,
and
if
the
it
number
had
one
been-
pick.
Best player in the
If
country.
you flipped it and the two games were flipped, you'd be like, okay, Florida, Auburn. Yeah, but like Duke going down with Cooper Flag, the way they went down with a guy in John Shire that John Henson ranked as the number one coach out of these four.
No, he did, didn't he?
He did.
He
I just
did.
wanted to make
I
sure
put
we had that
Samson
on camera.
You have a word from Planet Fitness tonight, do you not?
Well, look, as good as that Final Four was, those games were insane, right? Those games were insane. I don't know if you could hear by my voice, but I need some time to recover, right? I need some time to recover. That's why tomorrow we're going to be checking out the Planet Fitness Mobile Black Card Spa to recover with their best-in-class massage equipment. You can rebound and recover with us at Alamo Beer Company from 12 until 6. If you're not near San Antonio, you can still check out any Planet Fitness Black Card Spa for some innovative recovery. They will be live. Alamo Beer Company, 12 until 6. I think we're going to get there around 2:30, and we're going to hang out before we do our show at 4 o'clock. But we're going to be there tomorrow. Alamo Beer Company, Planet Fitness, Black Card Spa. Relax, recover, innovative massage therapy.
Do you know who needs some recovery?
Me.
Tomorrow? Robbie Hummel.
Oh, God.
Needs
We're
some
not doing
recovery
this.
tomorrow.
Oh, God. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
I didn't think you'd go down. So
Yeah.
is it a real spa?
No, it's like you got to show up to see, but it's like they have a mobile spa in this big old bar. It's really cool. If you're
I
gonna
can't wait.
come-
I'm going to come
check it
by.
out.
I gotta ask before we go off. Thoughts on the foul over the back?
It's
No,
the right call.
no, I don't think it was.
It was by the letter of the law. It was over the back.
I don't think it was.
And I know.
So what
I
do you
don't
like?
think it was.
Is the argument that are people out there saying that this like cost them the game?
No,
you lost.
no. I was about to say that, John. They
It wasn't one play that lost.
No,
the game.
absolutely not. I didn't love that call.
Yeah, I didn't love it either, but I did like the fact that the refs had the balls to call it on Cooper Flag. I liked that. I did. I liked that they were playing this one down. And the other thing is, if that had been Mike Krzyzewski,
Oh my God.
would they have made that call?
Oh my God.
Would they have
No
made that
way.
call? if that
The
was
answer is
okay?
no.
Because
way.
John Shire does not command the same respect, and certainly doesn't command the he just threw me off.
Yeah. We'll get to that in the afters.
We'll get to
Listen,
it.
go
We'll
ahead,
get to
take us home.
We'll get to it. Here's the deal. We have the afters coming up next. If you're in the YouTube chat, we know that we're into the four figures, and you have a question. We're going to read your questions. But to put it in perspective tonight, Jeff said earlier that this was as wild of a finish since 2008 in this building when Mario Chalmers happened.
I mean, Villanova, Chris Jenkins, but it's right there. It's right there with the best that we've seen.
This is why this sport never loses and why this tournament is the best. That after all of that, we were hopeful that we would get something that delivered the goods. The first game tonight couldn't have been better. We still have to get a thought. At least I want to hear your thoughts on Janai Broom's amazing run ending and Bruce Pearl coming up short. That one will sting with him. But for Houston and Florida, this is the beauty of college basketball. One, a 39-year-old, the other, the seasoned vet, and it's the Cougars and the Gators. We're going to have a new champ on Monday. The afters are next.
The teams that win consistently are not just the most talented teams. They're the ones where the coaches truly understand their players. That's why we're excited to partner with Profile. They're changing the game with their behavioral assessment tools that help coaches connect with their athletes on a deeper level. We're thrilled to announce that Profile CEO Chad Brown is going to be joining us at our Final Four event in person in San Antonio. With the transfer portal and NIL deals, coaches need every single advantage that they can get. Profile helps programs cut through the noise and understand exactly what motivates each player and what development strategies are going to work best for them. We've talked to coaches nationwide who say that Profile has transformed how they evaluate in the portal and develop their players. Instead of guessing, they have real insights into what makes each one of those human beings tick. Whether you're coaching at the college level or want to understand the blueprint behind great teams, check out profilebehavior.com to learn more about Profile. College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
We're live. It's the afters.
Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28.
Welcome to the afters from the Alamodome. Houston and Florida now set for Monday night for the national championship. And if you had said that a year ago at this time, this is why, you just don't know in this sport. But these two heavyweights, what a job Kelvin Sampson has done. It's so deserved for their program to be getting this opportunity. It's going to be a sea of red here on Monday night. You even said you were surprised by the amount of Houston fans. Is that true?
I thought it was going to be a Duke home game in that second game. I thought there was going to be a
The
significant.
game's in the state of Texas.
It's Duke.
But
it's
still.
Duke.
Yeah, Duke travels so well.
It's Duke. They have fans everywhere. And then once Houston started making that comeback, it was louder for them than it was at any point.
Because they were waiting all game.
They were waiting all game. And it exploded, man. I was impressed. I didn't know that. I didn't know Houston. It's Houston basketball. I didn't know that they were going to travel like that.
What's the headline?
That was what I was going to ask. So what is your headline from the night?
Cougs won.
Welcome to the worst headline writer of all
Cougs
time.
won.
I mean,
Cougs won.
Cougs won.
It wasn't
Cougs
even
won.
win. It was won.
Cougs won.
But that doesn't paint any of the picture. You know what I would have done? Cardiac Cougs.
It's good. It's good.
They
good
came
one.
back.
That's a good
right? Or,
The comeback Cougs.
the comeback Cougs. What would you have written?
I don't know. Maybe something about the Dookie collapse.
Lower the flag.
You know?
Lower the flag.
That's a good one.
That's a pretty good
Duke
one.
is a false flag.
We gotta get Rob some rest.
I mean, that right there. Between the
The craziest thing is this guy's actually a good YouTube headline writer. He was years ago. I mean, he made up plenty.
Where do you think Trevor learned
Exactly.
all of
Craft.
his YouTube headline skills?
That's right. All right.
I taught Trevor everything he knows.
From the bear.
The bear.
From the
that's
bear.
right.
Oh,
That's down.
Okay, here's another thing tonight. We have not hit on this. Janai Broom's run ends. Bruce Pearl, maybe not maybe, his best shot to win a title?
Sure. Absolutely.
That you could see, we walked by the locker room. He had still not spoken to the team. He was having a hard time. And you got to walk with Janai Broom. What was that like?
Yeah, he couldn't say much. He just kind of listened to me, and I've spent a lot of time around this kid lately, and I really didn't know him until recently. And I'll tell you, I've fallen in love with this Auburn team this season. They're just a fun group that had unbelievable chemistry. Janai Broom going from Morehead State, not even recruited high at Morehead State, to turning into, what we named him as a co-national player of the year. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible story. They were the dominant team for 90% of the season this year. And to end this way, you know, Janai misses 2 big free throws at the end of the game. Huge. I'm not sure they win the game, but certainly I think it comes down to the final possession or two. You know, again, he was distraught. You could tell because, again, same thing. He realized they were up what were they up 8-9 at one point, and they had a chance to kind of push it to 12, 14, and maybe put Florida away, and they were never able to do that. In the second half, Janai was fairly ineffective, and that's what a lot of you guys, you know, we all ask is like, how healthy was he?
I thought that it was telling. In the first half, I think the story of the first half was Florida could not stop Janai Broome one-on-one.
Nope.
And we talked about it.
Killing.
We talked about it all week, right? If you want to be able to beat Auburn, what you do is you kind of shut the water off for everyone else. Let Janai try to beat you with one-on-one with post-ups. He was able to back everyone down and go score. They ran all these different actions for him and got him seals right around the bucket where he had to catch it and lay it in. He had a little jumper to start off the game.
Yep.
Like he looked like first-team All-American National Player of the Year, Janai Broome. And at halftime, Carlin Hartman, the assistant coach at Florida, the whole staff is back to drill. You know how this goes, right? The staff goes back to the players are in there.
Yep.
They can kind of talk. The head coach and the assistants kind of talk, like, how do we want to approach this? So they're having that meeting. And Todd Golden told us he heard a noise in the locker room, and he's like, where'd Carlin go? Carlin's in there, and he is cussing him out. And he is challenging Ruben Chinielu's manhood. And he's telling Alex Condon, we probably can't repeat what he said,
100%.
but he said, if you want to go home, then keep playing the way that you just played. And they came out. Auburn scored 46 points on 32 possessions in the first half. They scored 12 points in the first 12 minutes of the second half.
Which is just amazing.
And they stuck to their principles, one-on-one against Broome.
No, and I thought the amazing part of that too, Rob, was that, number one, I thought Florida did a good job and that they had a great matchup with their size for Broome.
Yes.
He struggles against guys with a lot of length, but I also, and Connor and Trevor were probably tired of me tapping them during the game because I was so into it. But I kept telling them, like, one of the big things with a guy like that, and Jeff kind of spoke to it earlier, like, he's a rugged guy. Like, he doesn't beat you with athleticism. He's boom, boom. It's like, you know, somebody driving a truck over your chest every time he tries to back you down. And the hard part of that becomes not just the initial shot, but trying to find him and get the offensive rebound after. And I thought that's what they did a really good job of in the first half. The thing where I felt turned this game and just Auburn all year, Pettiford. I felt like this may have been a little too much for him.
Couldn't agree with you more.
But I also felt like he was the only other guy on that team. When things break down, he's the only other guy that can go get a basket.
Yes.
He can go stop the bleeding for you and make a step back three or get to the rim.
I mean, Baker Mazzara made one. We don't know if he left the ground. Did he definitely?
He did.
Well, 100%.
I thought he tried
out.
But you know what's interesting to your point? If you look at the two teams that lost these games tonight, at the end of the day, their guard play was not good enough. Proctor and James ultimately struggled in this game tonight if you look at the final numbers. And for Auburn and Florida, Florida's down 9. I thought it was very indicative of their season that the 11-0 run started and ended with Clayton. But in the middle, Richard and Martin were both supplying buckets too. Elijah Martin, you can't say enough about this kid. He's a winner, man.
He's so tough, and it wasn't just the buckets, right? I think you alluded to someone alluded to it. Will Richard had an offensive rebound and one putback early in the second half. Then there were 3 defensive plays he made. He had a steal. He came up with a loose ball, and then he snagged a rebound in traffic out of nowhere to end a possession. Like those toughness plays, won them possessions, got them points. That set a tone. Alex Condon played like crap. Right, like he was not good. He was not the guy that we thought he was going to be. He had a bad game. At the end, he drew the charge on Janai Broome. He had a play down at the other end where he kept the ball. Like he made hustle plays
They
that
got
they
good
didn't.
players. The beauty of their team. While Walter Clayton gets almost all of the accolades, every guy in their team, and they can also afford a guy like Alex Condon to have a shitty first half like he did and still be okay.
So let's turn the page now while we have a couple more minutes. What's your early read on the Florida-Houston title game?
First thing I'll say is, and this is no knock on him, I thought Walter Clayton was the best player in the gym tonight.
By far.
In both games.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And I think he's made his mark, and I think he made him a shit ton of money tonight. If I'm being honest with you, I really do, because I do think he was good enough to play at the next level, but I'm gonna find it hard to find 30 guys that are gonna go before him when June rolls around. I also don't think that he'll be as effective against Houston's defense. We know what they do defensively to teams. We know how they like to guard ball screens. I know they run a ton of the 5 out in the zoom action and stuff. They're going to be prepared for that stuff. It's not unlike things that they haven't seen before. He's going to have to rely on his teammates to make plays, and they're going to have good ball movement. But after what I just watched here tonight, Houston might just be the team of destiny. I got to go with the Cougs, man. I'm staying with them.
But you could say that, okay, I hear you, the team of destiny. I mean,
about
Florida, how many games have they won coming back?
Absolutely.
Both of these teams, the beauty is, no matter what the score is going to be, one team down 10, 12, 14 in the second half, both these teams are going to think, like, we can win this.
Think about this. Think about this. Houston, you had to put Duke in the casket. I mean, they were planning for your funeral, and you rose out of the casket and you put them in it.
Undertaker.
Florida almost didn't make it out of the first weekend of the tournament. They had to take Dan Hurley and make sure that the nails were bolted in because he was trying like hell to stay alive. And then Grant McCasland, Texas Tech.
It was like over.
It looked over. How many times have some of these games looked over in this tournament? What's your early read?
This reminds me a little bit of the 2015 Final Four, right? When Kentucky came in undefeated, and they make it and they play a Wisconsin team that had Sam Decker, that had Frank Kaminsky, and they toppled Goliath. They beat the big, bad, undefeated Kentucky Wildcats, Sean Calipari, Carl Towns, that whole, the Devin Booker, that whole team. And they came out in the championship game against Duke, and they lost. And part of it, I remember talking with them afterward, part of it was that it was hard for them after they won that game to get back up for it.
Yeah, Kaminsky just told us.
Yeah. It was hard for him to get going again after you just got this huge, massive win against a team no one thought could lose. And I don't know if that's necessarily something you should be concerned about with Houston.
Right. I don't think you should be concerned at all.
I feel like they're the same. I feel like Houston's approach
it's
is
also
never going to change.
full 1 seeds too. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, we just knocked down Goliath. And I think was that the year Kentucky was like undefeated?
Yeah, they were
entire
38-0.
year?
That was the first loss. We all thought they were going to go 40-0.
I think it's different. I think it's a little bit different. But and I definitely don't think we have anything to worry about with the Cougars, man. I think they're going to come prepared.
So we just saw Auburn's front line beat up on Florida's front line for 20 minutes, and Florida turn around and win that fight in the second half.
Yep.
You're going up against a team that's just as physical, longer, and more athletic, do a lot of the same things. Try to crash the glass, do a lot of the same things. Can Florida's front line handle what they're about to see with Jawan Roberts and JoJo Tugler and Javier Francis and these Houston Cougars?
I think they're going to have to match their effort and intensity on the glass. I think that's where the game is going to be at. If you're going to give Houston offensive rebounds, like double-digit level offensive rebounds, and they start getting all those kickback outs to Cryer and Sharp for threes, you're going to have a long night. Because I don't think this is going to be a typical Florida game where it's going to be 80-plus points. Sampson is not going to let it get to that. He's going to shorten the possessions. He's going to make them play in the 60s and 70s.
That worries me too. But I'm going to go with my original pick to win the whole thing, which was Florida.
You had them beating Houston in the title game, didn't you? Who had Houston when we originally did this? You had Houston. You had Houston winning it all.
I had Houston beating Duke, and then Florida beating Houston.
Shoot, good for you. Can you tell me what the lottery numbers are going to be tomorrow?
No, because I had Michigan State in the Final Four, and so it's a new point.
You're not going to get them all.
Come on, no. You know what? To me, it gets decided. It's a guards game at the end of the day.
Yes.
Which backcourt uses
Certainly
their
has
length
been.
and imposes their will defensively? If Houston, the defensive team that has the formula for virtually everyone. Like even Cooper Flagg late in the game tonight struggled. They eventually broke him. Can they get Walter Clayton to break? To blink?
Who do you
Like
put on him? What's your let's do that.
I'm
What
gonna
are
say
your matchups in the backcourt?
we've got so much time to look at
I
that.
think you put Elijah Martin on LJ Cryer. I think you put Will Richard on Uzin, and I think you put Walter Clayton on Emmanuel Sharp. That's what I would do.
Uzan might be my key to the game because he's got to play better on Monday night. You know, he's got to turn it on, and maybe he will. He normally doesn't have back to. The thing is, when you look at Houston, everybody thought when they barely beat Purdue that, oh boy, this is the same old. And then do you look what they did to Tennessee? That's why I don't worry about them game to game. They could come out and punch Florida in the mouth. You don't want to let that team get a lead, or else you're going to be trying to grind your way back. My original pick was Florida, so I guess I'm going to stay committed to my original pick on the bracket.
You don't feel great either, do you?
How could you?
You can't.
I don't.
I went 0 for 2 tonight.
You and me both.
Yeah, I mean, and I said it going in. I'm like, I don't feel good about any of these picks because
that means it's a pretty good Final Four.
Yeah, that's what it means. It means that
Think
evenly
about the
matched
shot
teams.
making. Think about the shot making we're going to see tomorrow. Think about what LJ Cryer did tonight. Think about what Walter Clayton did tonight, and think about what they are going to do in the national champion. Like there are going to be some ridiculous shot makes.
So
Walter Clayton hit one in the corner over there when he he kind of fumbled the catch, and he takes a sidestep dribble over Chad Baker-Mazar. They high-fived at the top, and he swished it. I'm telling you, man, like that dude is the most nonchalant assassin. Like it is ridiculous the shots that he makes, and it's like he's not even trying. It doesn't register. You're in the Final Four, and you are making ridiculous threes over one of the best teams in the country.
You know who could have used him this year?
Duke.
St. John's.
St. John's.
Oh, God. Imagine.
Yeah, they could have.
You just decided to twist that knife, huh?
I'm just saying.
Rub it in.
They're worried.
Just let them know.
They're all asleep. The St. John's.
They've been asleep for
a week. So when you read the paper tomorrow.
Oh, here we go. Another headline. A last headline. What headline are you actually going to say?
No, like for Monday, if I were to start to look at an early Monday.
Am I predicting the headline?
No, you're writing a headline for the game now. You know, like the
previewing.
Yeah.
Previewing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I mean, your last headline was Cougs won.
Cougs won. They won.
They could have won by 30.
Cougs won.
That tells us
Cougs won.
Nothing about
it tells you everything you need to know. Cougs won.
So break down our schedule tomorrow.
Never in doubt.
People that are watching the show.
All right, so we'll be here at the arena again doing media stuff, getting videos, doing all that during the day. We'll be heading over to Planet Fitness. We'll be heading over to Alamo Beer Company to see the Planet Fitness Black Card Spa at 2:30. We're going to be over there. They'll be open from 12 until 6. Make sure you go check those guys out, Planet Fitness. And then we will be doing our show again from Smoke Sky Bar, 4 until 7 p.m. Please come hang out. It's going to be awesome. I know there's going to be Houston fans in town. I know there's Florida fans in town. If you are one of the Auburn or Duke fans that needs to be able to kind of drink away your sorrows,
how many Duke fans are stuck?
Or if you want to sell your tickets, we'll have people there that will be willing to buy them, I'm sure.
Come by, check it out, hang out with us. They have cold beer. They have really good Dos Equis. Drills had a couple of those. The best damn taco ever. It's literally called the best damn taco ever. It is smoked brisket in a taco.
Ooh, I haven't had it.
I've had like 9 of them. It is legitimately one of the best damn tacos ever. It's fantastic. You know, it's funny. I dropped 13 pounds before we got to the Final Four, before March started.
Really?
And there's no way when I weigh myself when I get home, I'm gonna be like, I did all that work, and I'm right back to where I am right now.
You went to the Pizza Hut buffet tonight.
I did. But see, it's
how
misleading.
Can you do that, by the way?
It's misleading.
You know there's a limited amount of pizza there.
Did you see 4 pieces? Did you see how much? Did you go
there
back there?
There was a ton
there must
of
have been 500 pizzas back there.
And I have to say this: if you were one of the reporters who took an entire pizza back to your work,
Gloria, we're looking at you, Zags.
Zags cut the line.
Of course he did.
Zags cut the line.
Dick Weiss was in the Pizza Hut line.
I stood in line. I stood in line for 10 minutes. Made my way to the front. And Zags walks up and goes, "Hey, thanks for saving my place in line." And walks right behind me. And I was like, "What? What? Zags? You can't cut the line. Shame on you."
Jarrell, you
you,
back
Adam.
tomorrow?
We are not finishing this
I'll be
until
back.
we make fun of Robbie Hummel for a minute. Just give me 10 seconds to say how shitty of a pickleball player
Can we do Toast
that
of the
Robbie
Night
Hummel
after?
is. That's
Toast of
all.
the Night.
That's
Toast of
all.
the Night presented
Go
by
ahead.
Dadwater.
Toast of the night presented by
Toast
Dadwater.
of the night.
Jarrell, who are you going to toast?
I gotta go with LJ Cryer. I'll go with that. I'll go with Cryer. I think he played tremendous. He kept that team afloat all night long, right when they're on the brink of destruction and going down close to 20. Every single time he had an answer, he came up with another big play. Obviously, all the way down the stretch, and they were able to pull it out at the end. So I got Cryer.
So for me, it's Papa Sampson, and I was told by his wife that Papa Sampson yesterday was left in a closet by his 2 grandchildren. They were playing hide and seek, and what's the name of Paws? What's the name of the show? Something Paws.
Paws. Yeah, Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol. So Paw Patrol came on. Paw Patrol came on, and the 2 grandkids forgot about Kelvin. They left him in the closet. And finally he came out of the closet. He's like, what's going on? And they're just sitting back there watching Paw Patrol. So Papa Sampson, to go from being stuck in a closet to now going to the national title game. And he grabbed me. He did. He grabbed me after when we were walking out, and he's like, can you believe we're going to be playing in the national title game Monday? You could just see like how much this means to him, how excited he is about the fact that he's finally got a chance.
He deserves all the flowers, all the love in the world for it. My toast tonight is going to go out to the guy that actually made the shots to win the game. The game-winning free throws in the Final Four, Juwan Roberts.
Good call.
I'm going to read you guys out 5 numbers, okay? These are the numbers. 52.6, 50, 58.6, 51.1, 62.5. Do you know what those are?
Yeah, that's not good.
Do you know what those are?
Free throw percentages.
Those are Juwan Roberts' free throw percentages in his 5-year career.
He just made the 2
And
biggest
he just
free
made
throws.
2 free throws in the Final Four in front of 68,000 people.
No air under either.
With the line drives, knocked them both down like it was nothing.
He's a
like
tough
it was
MF.
nothing.
Is he the tough? Like he's one of the toughest MFers. You were a tough MFer. You look at him, aren't you? Like
I love. Yeah,
Look,
that's a guy you want on your
Oh.
side.
Yeah.
When you tip up the
And the
ball.
thing that makes you so happy about that, and the fact that it was him that got that opportunity, is that we mentioned it a lot, man. He had the opportunity to get in the portal as a 5th-year senior. He could have made quite literally 2 commas with a crooked number in front. 2 commas with a crooked number in front is what he could have made this year if he decided to go in the portal, and he did not. I promise you, he probably didn't even think about it. I'm sure someone said, you can make this amount of money. He said, I don't care. I'm coming back to Houston. And it paid off.
You know, what I think about is this. My mind went to, okay, well, I like a couple of things. Number one, I like a championship game when the 2 teams have not played each other, so it's hard to really know what the matchup's going to entail. Number 2, I just thought of whoever wins the national championship, so they're bringing the trophy back to, all right, let's look at the 2 towns. So you're telling me that either downtown Houston is going to have a parade for college basketball. So whereas Houston, that area, those people, wonderful people of Houston, like, again, every school right now has a freaking question, and that is, what sport do you value? Well, they invested in hoops. Not to say they didn't in football, but
for Tita, no doubt.
They've now become, you win that on Monday night, and it shows the power of spending dollars and building an arena and
keeping your coach.
Keeping your coach.
They
Making
kept
him happy.
paying him.
Where on the other side, like Gainesville, we know the people of Gainesville would love a football championship. Of course they would. But let's face it, you're in a league where Georgia resides, where Texas now resides, where Oklahoma resides, where Alabama still resides. It's not easy. But you did win national championships less than 20 years ago.
With a guy who was in the arena tonight who got announced in the Hall of Fame. How about that day for Florida Gator
Unbelievable.
fans? Billy Donovan here tonight had to shoot back at halftime because the Bulls play tomorrow.
Unbelievable. And, you know, Coach Golden, he's gotten a little emotional at times after these wins lately because I think for him this has been a really, really difficult year. He'll never, you know, like he'll just by virtue of everybody says shit, and people are going to say stuff, and there were things that were proven to be false. And so there's that idea too that on Monday night he and his program have the last word, and they end up winning the championship, going through one of the biggest distraction things that you could have gone through. So the season arc, the program arc, my toast is to the Final Four and San Antonio, because waking up today in this town and walking around downtown, you're like, man, it was
alive.
It was alive. And Monday night, it might be Florida and Houston. It might not be Duke, Carolina, but like UConn, Purdue have showed it. UConn, San Diego State. Remember the San Diego State fans that traveled in for the game Monday?
Yeah.
Those two bases will be Florida and Houston.
Yep,
they got people. They're state schools. They got budgets. They're going to be ready to go. That does it for all of us. We have 3 hours of coverage for you tomorrow and an hour pregame show on Monday. We got so much to get to. He's going to work on some headlines. Cougs won.
Cougs won.
Cougs win.
Jeff, Jarrell, Matt McCall, Trevor, Connor, Dagan, this is John Fanta saying so long. Tomorrow, we're going to hear from John Henson, and we're going to hear from Dagan Hughes' father on his return on the field of 68. Good night, everybody.